yeah, from our cold dead hands, baby. Yeah, singing the new Garage Politics intro. Politics intro. That's our good buddy Corey Plow. So, written by my bro, the Common Patriot over here. And I'm Buzz Rankin, and we're back for another show, Garage Politics.
So before we get rocking, let's mea culpa, right? So I had some feedback from a couple of people, a couple listeners, right? Who wanted to let us know that they were a wee bit disappointed that we weren't hitting it every week, that we were missing some shows.
Yes, we apologize about that.
My bad.
It's Patriot's fault.
I apologize for that. Hey, look, I'm going to use an old joke from the old show, right? I'm the talent, my job, my fault. Yep. Okay.
Yep. I'm just the producer.
Look, guys, we said from the beginning, we're trying to get this going, trying to get into a rhythm with it. And, this isn't. It was a very different deal when we did the show originally the first time.
Yes.
It was a little bit different, and we got a lot going on. We had the hurricane. We had all of the other things that have been going on.
For those that don't know, we do live in Florida, and fortunately, the area we live in, we were north of the storm.
Caught the northern edge of the storm.
And we went through some tropical storm force winds and stuff like that. And our hearts go out, though, to all those in Lee County and everything. Because,
dude, it's terrible.
Even though Patriot and I were born in Kentucky, we're pretty much Floridians. We were raised
grew up
down
in Fort
here.
Lauderdale.
We grew up here. We went to school here.
Yep.
And my heart breaks and my heart goes out. Our prayers go out to all of those that are dealing with the devastation right now throughout the state. Our hearts are with you. Our prayers are with you. God bless you guys. And I tell you what, though, it's times like this, and it's always, and I think we even said this back on the 9/11 show, it always takes devastation to bring people together. It brings...
and it's doing it, right?
It brings humanity out.
Yes.
It brings that hidden humanity that... guys, we've gotten into a culture so much that we're so worried about me, and what's in it for you. But man, when something like this happens, you see compassion come out. You see consideration for others. You see unselfish acts, just people reaching out to help one another. And man, that's
a great underscore, because this highlights what we said we wanted to do with the new iteration of the show, right?
Yes.
This idea that, look, my political views have not changed. Buzz's political views. I mean, little things, right? Learning and growing and understanding more. But the concepts that we believe in, the ideals, the principles, those things have not changed.
No.
They're not changed at all. What's different is how we're going to go about spreading that word. And the purpose here, whether we talk about left or right or Democrat or Republican or Constitution or whatever it is, the point here is not about parties. I want to be away from the idea of the parties. I want to be focused on us being Americans. And that so matches up with what you were just saying about humanity. This idea that, look, these are the times when it explodes and everybody goes, oh, look at that. People helping just because people need help, because they're hurting.
People are in need. You betcha.
And so that's what we want to do. Look, I don't want to... It doesn't need to be government programs. It doesn't need to be something big. It doesn't need to be... Just help. It's just helping. It's just doing the right thing,
and guys,
right?
It don't take a lot. And, that's something I was the little brother. I'm the one that struggled and had to learn things the hard way. And I've gone through a lot of different trials and obstacles in my life, self-inflicted. But the one thing I've learned is even when I thought I was at my lowest point, there was always somebody that was at a lower point.
Oh, Kirk inflicted some of them.
Swirly. Thanks, Bert. Appreciate that. Shout out to you in Texas. But there's always something you could do. There's always somebody hurting worse than you. There's always somebody in more dire need than you. And guys, you just got to get back to being human and American. And that's one thing we have changed since the very beginning. As far as you said it right, Patriot. We got away from the view of it. This isn't about parties anymore, guys. I could care less whether you're Republican or Democrat.
Yep.
It's for what you stand for, what you represent, what you push out there. And I mean, because both you and I, Patriot, we're constitutionalists. We're not registered Republicans anymore and everything. You know why? Because most politicians, Patriot and I, during the time that we weren't back on the airways and everything, we realized and we watched, it doesn't matter what side you're on. They're all corrupt, self-serving people, and it's getting tiring. It's getting tiring that they're not living for the people and working for the people. Man, you watch them go up there. They'd make all these promises. I'm going to do this and that, and then they get up there and they don't do anything.
None of them leave poor.
Nope. None of them leave
wealthy.
poor. Isn't that amazing?
And
for,
you know what?
For a servant's position, servant of the people.
Well, the senator makes what, 160, 190,000 a year?
Yet he comes out and he's got, offshore investments and $6.2 billion.
But here's the thing, right? Here's the truth, and this is where we're trying to get to, right? You notice we said, like I've said for years, but now we're even more focused on the idea of doing things locally, fixing the problems locally, fix it in the local elections, dog catcher, the utility district, water district, the mosquito guy, whatever. I don't care. All the local elections, fix those problems. But in furtherance of what we're saying about all those people that are helping out with Ian and with the disaster and the people that are hurting, you don't need a disaster.
No.
It's every day, right?
Every day.
The guy sitting at the desk next to you is having a hard time, and everybody's just blowing him off and ignoring him, and maybe he just needs a pat on the back and somebody to say, hey, man, wait, everything okay? You doing all right? It's just being a human being, being an American, reaching out to other people and doing this. And I can hear it already. I know. I got some people I know in my life that I know that are going, oh, what are you turning into some sort of bleeding heart? Look, if that's what you think, look, anybody that would say to me,
we still don't like the tree hugging toad lickers. Trust us, we're good.
Anybody that would say to me right now, because we're talking like this, oh, you're a bleeding heart. You guys have gone soft. That is not. Look, if you are not, oh God, I wish I could remember you ever see the movie Meet John Doe? Remember that movie?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. And in that movie, he gives this speech and he talks about having a healthy dose of caring for the little guy, right? The guy next door, the little guy who's trying to make it up, who's not the big wig, doesn't have the money.
Right.
If you haven't seen that movie with Gary Cooper, watch it. Fantastic movie. And so I feel like we're not getting completely off track here tonight. It was just stuff that was on our heart that needed to be addressed, right?
Yeah. What are you talking about here?
This is what you need to be thinking of. These
just
are the
two guys in the garage kicking it around.
But these are the things that need to be done, folks. So when you listen, when we do the shows here, and I apologize, but there's going to be some weeks where we will be mushy. We do,
and we just want to hug you guys through the airwaves and be like, "Hey, dude, get in here. Let's group hug." I'm sorry. No, I'm just kidding, man. That was terrible. I know.
So we don't have the infrastructure yet to do remotes. So next week, for example, I'm going to be in St. Augustine. I got to be over there for work. We do not have the equipment yet to do remote feeds. So what
I may do is just come down here and
you
send you
man.
a 10-minute show out. We may do, because tonight we're going to do for our first time. We're going to do the headlines with Buzz here in just a few.
I thought about looking at Shoutcast.
Yeah.
Because we can, I can call into Shoutcast and broadcast with you.
That's pretty awesome.
We may look at that.
We may look into that.
Okay.
So we apologize, guys. Look, we're eventually. You got to go back and look at this when we started. What was it? Over a decade ago, when we were originally on the airwaves, guys.
October 3rd.
It took us a full year.
What is today?
Today's October 3rd.
Dude, this is exactly. We started October 3rd, 2008. I totally missed that when we were preparing.
Cow, look at that.
The very first show recording on the laptop, the really, really bad one, was October 3rd of 2008.
14 years ago.
14 years ago, we did the very first Garage Politics show.
Wow, so tonight's kind of a special night. Happy anniversary to us, the Garage Kings.
That's crazy, dude.
Oh, my gosh. No, guys, oh, man, that's just awesome. That's mind-boggling,
14 years.
But my point was, when we started back then, we started around a Hewlett-Packard laptop with just the Hewlett-Packard.
Sitting on top of a cooler.
Yeah, so the very first show was actually no cameras or anything, just the microphone that was there.
Yeah.
And there was me,
audio.
You, and Guitar Don hugged around that thing trying to talk, and the sound quality was
terrible.
horrible.
Yep.
But guys, it's going to take us some time, so we're going to get back to it. Unfortunately, Patriot and I are both much busier in our lives than we used to be.
Yes.
For those of you that don't know, during the time that we were gone, Patriot over here picked up hockey, and now he's a hockey
Tuesday
player.
Nights, man.
Tuesday nights he goes out and he plays hockey. I run a golf and country club, and I've picked up golf. So is Patriot. We play golf. I hack. But it's fun. I've got
10 grandkids.
My girls have grown up. Exactly. My girls have grown up. I got 10 grandkids, man. 10. I'm 51 years old. I got 10 grandkids. The beauty of that is, at my age, I can still play with them and everything else and enjoy them. Patriot, not so much by the time
It's
these
crazy.
kids have
He's got 10
grandkids.
grandkids. I still have a 17-year-old.
He's the older brother, and he's got a 17-year-old. And
I have a 17-year-old who's not done yet. Hopefully he's listening. He tells me he does. I don't know if he's listening or not. Shout out Preston.
Little Wolf, dude.
The wolf.
Yeah.
Dark Wolf.
Little Patriot, man.
He is.
No,
he
sorry.
He's my conservative child. My daughter, who was gonna, she was doing legal
still
studies
love her.
at
We
UCF.
still
I
love
love her
her.
with all
We
my
still
heart.
love her.
And I could probably say anything I wanted because there's not a chance.
She'll never listen to
Not
this show.
a chance in hell she's listening to this show.
If she did, within 30 seconds, she'd be out there hugging the tree out front going, "Oh, Daddy, what have you done?" I'm sorry, Bree. I love you. I got to take a jab at you. You know Uncle Sean loves
I
you.
love both my kids.
But anyways, guys,
So there's a lot going on. Hey, look.
We're not in AA.
We are. No, we're not. We are.
All right.
We are definitely working on getting new cameras, so we have better. I know these are a little grainy, not so great. It's okay, but we're gonna we're gonna get some better cameras. We've got ideas for the set. The set is going to be changing in the coming weeks. And we are going to work on that consistency. Like I said, we'll look into Shoutcast or something that allows us to still broadcast even when we're apart.
Sounds good.
Which, by the way, will also make it possible, teaser, right? We absolutely, I had a talk with Guitar Don. I talked to him about it, and he was so stoked that we were doing the show again.
He was.
And
it was good to
at a bare minimum, I have got him agreed to once in a while, connect with the show, whether it's calling in or whatever he does.
Maybe one of these days we could talk him into a new parody song.
Well, I am going to do a lot of working trying to convince him that, hey, man, I still got lyrics up here. I still got some ideas. So we need to come out with some new parody songs and some new material, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so there's lots of things going on. And I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I apologize to those people. My nephew, who's one of the folks that listens, and he was like, dude, come on, you guys got to hit it every week. And he's offering advice to us. He's like, here's how you try to get more listeners. And
oh my God, it's our anniversary.
So there's lots. Look, I want to say this, and then we'll move on and start getting into some of the other stuff. Here's the deal. Folks, after all of the years of trying to come back and plugging it and talking about it and hyping it, we're here. It's a little road bump here and there. We're trying to get everything in the right direction and get all the stuff doing it the way we want it to happen and everything. We're not going anywhere. We are going to keep doing this. Lord willing, we will continue to do this every week.
And we may not have a show every week, guys, and we apologize for that up front. But like we said, we got the difference then too. Back when we were originally doing this, even though there was no video and everything, we were picked up by a micro broadcast network, and we were. There it was a little different. If we ever get to the point where we're picked back up and we're being broadcast live again,
that's different.
Man, we'll have a show every week. But right now, guys, we're doing this as a hobby. We're not getting paid anything for this. Patriot and I are throwing our own funds in here, buying all the equipment and everything. I mean,
because we love it. We love doing it.
We got new laptop that I just bought to run this thing. We've got all kinds of neat stuff that you guys don't see off camera. And we do it because we love it. And we love to get the word out there. And we love to talk. Patriot has always been passionate about politics and our government and the founding documents and everything that goes along with it. And somehow he's managed to drag me right in there with him.
Absolutely, dude.
And we're best friends in real life. You don't get that a lot. And it just, I don't know. It's exciting. It's fun.
But it's going to be good, right? So we will continue to do this. I feel like over time we're going to get more consistent. I've got to make these trips right now. I got projects and stuff at my regular job. I got to be in Jacksonville once a month. Right. So there's no getting around that. That's just part of what it is. But we should be able to... Ooh. Wow.
That means it's time to go to a new segment. So with that said, hey, let's do some headlines with me. Buzz. Woo. Oh, look at that pretty song. Oh, cut that for that. Headlines according to me. I love it. Gonna do some headlines here. And guess what? They may not be real news, but they sure as heck sound good. And hey.
I'm worried.
It's a camera just on me here. Imagine that. I don't get this too often. Most of the time when you all are watching the show, it's Patriot, and I'm sitting in the background. Just you hear me going, beep, beep, beep. But this week, I got some headlines for you. How about that? You want to hear some headlines?
I want to hear some.
Let's hear some headlines. Imagine if you picked up the paper today and read, Greg Abbott sends hundreds of migrants to DeSantis' house to teach him a lesson about stealing his idea. Citing a lack of originality in the Florida governor's decision to ship displaced Venezuelans to Martha's Vineyards this week, or a couple of weeks ago, Texas Governor Greg Abbott sent hundreds of migrants to Ron DeSantis' house Friday to teach him a lesson about stealing other people's ideas. That was totally my thing first. Now he's acting like he came up with it, cited Abbott. I thought that was a good one.
So, God, oh my goodness.
I know, it's terrible. But what about the next headline? So you're scrolling across and God forbid you come on CNN and see Pelosi boasts new investigation against Trump. Everybody'd be excited that her hugging trees and licking toads. They'd be like, yes, get him. Get the orange-haired freak.
Orange man, bad.
Bad. In a press conference last Friday, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi boasted with the diminishing interest in the Mar-a-Lago raid, they now have submitted for a new federal warrant that they believe would aid them in a new investigation against Trump. According to their findings in 1991, Donald Trump had mattress tags removed at all of his hotel chains throughout the U.S.
Oh, my goodness.
Federal offense repeatedly. He's in trouble.
You're psychotic, dude.
That's a great headline. So is Identity Culture Expands.
Oh, I got to hear this.
Ooh. With gender identity on the rise, statistics are now showing that it is expanding into the realm of vehicles. Several jacked up truck owners are identifying their monster trucks as Priuses or other earth-saving vehicles. When one owner was asked why, his response was, well, we can pretend too. I write my own stuff. Enjoy.
We can tell.
All right. In other headlines, student loan debate heats up. With Sleepy Joe pushing for student loan debt forgiveness while receiving full support from modern-day snowflakes, opposition continues to pour in from those who know better. Top economic specialists tried to present a simple breakdown that even the simplest of minds could understand. 1, you take out a loan. 2, you pay it back. This simple explanation has caused a large wave of outbursts and temper tantrums from those with student loans. When one of the top economic specialists was asked for input regarding this topic, he replied, why are they so upset that taxpayers don't want to pay to pay off their debt? They don't even want to pay their debt off either. Inflation is on hold for the elections. With the primaries just around the corner, we are beginning to see the normal trend of the new ghost economy. Prices coming down out of nowhere. Fuel prices coming down due to oil from Saudi Arabia. Because after all, their oil, it's a lot more earth-friendly.
Of course it is. So is the stuff from the Strategic Oil Reserve.
Yeah. Other products are becoming somewhat affordable right now. Imagine that. Well, we polled several Americans on their thoughts of the current situation here in the U.S. What's going on? Peter from Nebraska said we should observe wolves as they are proving to be smarter. When asked to expand upon his statement, he followed up with, well, wolves would never allow an idiot to lead their pack. Marge from Virginia said, this always happens with the silly Democrats leading things. On another note, why is it okay for them to act like frickin' idiots, yet it's unacceptable to point it out? Good question, Marge. Good question. We here in the garage totally agree with you. I have an idea, though.
We need to stay in touch with Marge.
We should. Why don't we treat America like it's a giant router? Let's unplug this sucker for 30 seconds and plug it back in.
I'm all for that, man.
Okay, and with that, that's my headlines. I'm going to leave you with the quote of the week, though. Just because you're offended doesn't mean you're right.
Oh, I love that one.
So there you go. Headlines with Buzz. Like I said, may not have been the real news, but it sounded a lot better, and it's pretty close to the truth.
So, you know what? That's freaking awesome. I'm sorry. I'm going to do something this week. I apologize, Buzz. I didn't really get with you and consult you on this, but I'm going to do something we don't normally do.
Is it going to be magical?
Well, I don't know how magical it's going to be. There's a percentage chance this goes completely off the rails.
Are there going to be heads that explode?
Well, there may be some of that if I manage to keep it all together. Normally.
Notice I like my sound button.
I will confess that normally I've got quite a bit of notes that I prepare.
So are you getting ready to be on your soapbox?
I'm gonna do some soapbox for
okay
this week. Yeah, it's just one of those weeks.
Oh yeah, Patriots soapbox.
So let me ask, and we're obviously we're pre-recorded right now, so we can't have the audience participation. So if you're out there and you're listening,
bring. Oh, we got a caller. No, I'm just kidding.
Just think of this and see if you recall. So
Okay.
if you remember going back, I pulled up the notes so I know exactly what week it was. It was on August 29th, right?
No,
It was
20th.
August 29th, we did a show that included some descriptions of different governments.
You're talking about the show that actually worked.
The one that actually worked, not the other one. I'm still going to incorporate that data at some point, but right now is not the time.
All right. Wave it off. I
have, as it were, a burr under my saddle that I managed to catch hold of this week.
I should have picked that one out earlier.
Yeah. So,
too late.
But we spent a fair amount of time on August 29th talking about different forms of government. We talked about communism and fascism and capitalism and all
that fun stuff.
Right?
Socialism.
So right now, stuff going on in the news that I thought was worth sort of, I don't want to go back through the whole thing again, but I thought it was worthwhile to have a brief discussion this week about that subject, particularly as it pertains to fascism.
Okay.
Because I don't know how many of you, well, generally the people over the years that have listened to us tend to listen to a lot of different shows, get a lot of different news. They're usually pretty informed for the most part. So I would imagine most people have been exposed already to the news headlines regarding the election in Italy, right? Now, my wife is Sicilian Italian, and my mother-in-law is first generation from Sicily. And so it's a very large family in New York, and I contacted my mother-in-law to talk to her when Giorgia Meloni won as Prime Minister of Italy. And I did not take the time. It's why I was kind of apologizing, because I did not take the time to go get the clips, the video clips and that, so we could listen to it. You've probably heard it a million times already anyway. But this woman gave a speech a couple of years before she was elected at one of these events, and she's given several speeches over the years leading up to this. And it was the one in particular where she started talking about why everyone hated her and her party so much, why the people in the so-called mainstream, the leftists, hated them so much. And I watched and listened to that, and it was subtitles, so you could read it, because I don't speak Italian. And you listen to her talking about that the government wants us, because it's while she's speaking directly to the Italian people, it's a worldwide phenomenon right now, and we're gonna push into that. So I'm starting with this one in Italy. They want us to be a number. They want us to be, as she put it, the term I thought was fantastic, the perfect consumer. No national identity, no family identity, no gender identity, no correct gender identity. She says, I can't identify as a woman, a mother, a Christian, an Italian. I've got to be, gender X, nationality X, all these things. I go this person, that person. I'm a number. I'm a perfect consumer. I'm there. Yes. We are there for the speculators, the financial speculators, to utilize and make money on. We're there to feed their need of power and money. I'm doing a poor job of delivering all of that information. It was a wonderful speech. If you've got a chance, go look it up. Look it up on YouTube. Just go look up Giorgia, Georgia, I believe it is, or maybe it was Giorgia. I'm sorry, I think I spelled it wrong. Giorgia Meloni, Meloni, and listen to some of her speeches. Now it's the. Buzz, you can look it up for me. The party that she's a member of is called the Brothers
of Italy.
Brothers of Italy.
Brothers
okay.
of Italy.
Now,
Fratelli d'Italia.
There you go. They made a monstrous stink out of this, because I guess when you look at the logo, okay, there's a flame, and everybody immediately went after them. They're fascists. This is the same logo that was part of the party that was run by Mussolini. And I heard on another show this week, which I thought was wonderful because it's appropriate and utterly true, that Mussolini was actually a socialist. He was not a fascist. He was a socialist. He believed everything in the state, all of it, right? So it was a very different setup. Be that as it may, these are not fascists. First of all, fascism was outlawed in Italy in the 50s. So So it's not like here where socialists are free to just roam around and do whatever they want and what have you. There, fascists are not allowed to go anywhere they want. But the key is because, and I'm bringing it up again because we actually said this when we did the show on August 29th. They have every single time that the left decides they're going to make an issue out of this, they grab a hold of it and they call people on the right fascist. We covered this in depth when we did that show back in August. And they call it extreme right-wing fascists.
Yeah.
First of all, fascism is not a right-wing thing. It's a left-wing thing.
Exactly.
If you listen to the show, you know that was what we covered. We talked about this, okay? We talked about, what was the gentleman's name? And I apologize. It's a lot of information to remember. But it was Giovanni Gentile, I believe was his name, who was the founder of this movement, basically. And the guy was a leftist. He's a socialist, okay? He's not a right-wing nut. This is not a right-wing thing. We also talked about the fact that the Nazis, it was the National Socialist Workers' Party.
Right.
So they call right-wingers Nazis all the time. They're not right-wingers. They're left-wingers, folks. It's a left policy. And this isn't a thing about Republican and Democrat and this and that. It's the simple truth that these are left-wing groups. These are left-wing policies, which is not what you heard in Giorgia Meloni's speech. You heard about traditional values and family and God, right? The motto
Well,
of
that in itself sets people off nowadays.
the motto of the Brothers of Italy Party is God, fatherland, right?
Yes, God, family, fatherland.
God, family, fatherland. It's like, so when's the last time that you heard a leftist start off anything they believed in with God?
Nowhere, because the left wants to remove God out of everything.
Out of everything.
You're your own God. You don't need to believe.
And so my thought was, one of the reasons that I decided to get on the soapbox this week and go after this was, you've got to, there's no way to say this without sounding preachy and condescending. I'm so sorry. That's not what I mean to do. It's just, folks, we have to pay attention to the things that are transpiring right in front of us, okay? Now, look, Buzz said at the beginning of the show, and it's absolutely true. I don't care what party you belong to. No. I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican or a Green Party or Libertarian or what. If your big focus in the world is that you want to, quote unquote, save the environment, and you're a greenie, good for you. You know what I'm looking for? You know what I care about? I care that you, in addition to whatever your social and environmental policies are, that you care about individual liberty, freedom, individual rights, that you have an interest in our God-given rights, even if you don't believe in God.
Absolutely.
Even if you do not. The point of that is that our rights, as we see it, originate from the Creator. They are not given to us by government. Now,
nope.
I want you to ask yourself, why?
They're taken away by the government.
Why do we say God-given rights? Now, in addition to the fact that we actually believe God gave us our rights, the truth is they are yours from birth. Those rights belong to you as an individual. They're yours.
Right.
The government doesn't grant them to you. The Constitution does not grant you a single right, not one. The Constitution is the framework that explains things the government cannot do to you, cannot take from you, and explains why and how the government is meant to be a bulwark of protection for our rights.
Absolutely. And it's funny, I was just reading the Constitution before the show. I was going through it, and you heard me giggle and go, what are you giggling about? And I was like, Amendment number 4, and it's amazing if, once again, challenge people. Read it, folks. You get it on Amazon. Everybody loves to go to Amazon. Go to Amazon and order you a little pocket Constitution. Read it, man.
You don't even have to do that.
No, Google it.
You have a mobile phone. You have a cell phone. Look, folks, you have a computer in your hand that is more powerful than any computer I had growing up.
Yeah.
Right?
We had TSR 80.
Way more
the
powerful.
Trash 80.
All you have to do is go. There are tons of little apps out there.
Whatever search engine you use.
There is a free app available I'm assuming it's probably on Apple as well. There's a free app available that actually has the Constitution.
I love how you say that. I'm sure there's one even on Apple.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm just not an Apple guy. So I don't know. I can't make assumptions. So there's a free app on Android, on Google, whatever. You can go get Google's evil. You can go get this free app that has the Constitution and the amendments, the Declaration of Independence. It's got all this stuff in it. Now, I will tell you this. I am not the world's biggest fan of electronic documentation.
No.
Because they can change it, right?
Well, and not just that. I mean, all right, look, I'm going to go out to both of us right here for a second.
That's fine. Bring it.
Patriot
I need
knows.
some coffee.
There you go. Drink you some coffee. Take a breath for a second. Patriot even knows. I mean, I'm not the biggest book reader. You know,
That's an understatement.
I'm the one that loves to go.
He read the Twilight Saga.
Yeah,
it was a miracle.
That was a secret. I have daughters. I had to get into the Twilight Saga. I love those movies.
He calls me one night and goes, "Hey man, I'm reading the Twilight Saga," and I was looking. I was like, "Wait a second. Is there a chance aliens abducted my brother and replaced him with a pod
I've
person?"
read very few things. Like I've read The Lord of the Rings. I've read the Twilight Saga.
Yep.
You know, but I have read. They're small books right here. Here they are, guys. The Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, and the Constitution. There's three of the books right there, and you get them, and you can see. Look, guys, these aren't big books. I've already read through them. I love it, man. You talk about knowledge at your hands. I got the pack of 3 on Amazon. I think it was $13, $16, something like that.
Ridiculous.
But to have them, and like Patriot just said, because digitally they can mess with them, screw with them, and alter them. And I'm not saying they can't do that with printed versions, but buy them, read them.
Yeah.
I challenge you. If I can do it, anybody can do it.
Well, the key to the printed version is, right, you can verify that what you've got is right.
Yep.
And you can buy the printed copy, and nobody comes into your house and changes your printed copy, right? Common sense. Not
Right.
What's online, I don't know, if they've changed wording or changed.
The national, the universal toad lickers of the universe.
Whatever.
May have changed
And I don't. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get into conspiracy theories. It's just I'm a printed word guy, right? Like I read my books printed. I tried the digital thing. I have Kindle and the whole bit.
I like to watch it in a movie in 2 to 3 hours, and it makes sense.
Now, when I was traveling more, I did get into using the audiobooks for some stuff, but sparingly. I like to sit down and read a book. Anyway, okay, we're getting lost. But the point is here, the information is there to be had. And this is, again, something we underscored when we did the August show. But I just felt like this was so pervasive this week because it wasn't just Italy. I heard again, was it today? I think it was today because this was the first day of the new news cycle. The weekend was over. The Brazilian Bolsonaro in Brazil. There was news this weekend. They were like, "Oh, he got slaughtered. He's done." Turns out it was much closer than they thought. There's going to be a second round later in the month, whatever, or I guess in October. And they're saying that these pre-election polls that showed it much farther apart than it was were not correct.
Right. Right.
And this is another one of those phenomena. And I thought, look, it's the beginning of October. Let's talk about this before we get to November, right? And forget anything about election fraud, this, that. Let's just talk about normal political season, year in, year out, all the time we deal with this nonsense. Is everything cool?
Everything's cool.
Okay. All right. It was dinging on me. I got a ding. Every time that election time comes around, every time we go through an election in the United States, every time this happens, we start with this deal. I am a huge hater of polls. I hate polls. I hate them with a passion. I believe they are 99% bullcrap for one simple reason. Because polls are statistics, okay? And I remember Mark Twain, I believe it was Mark Twain, was the one who said there are lies, there are damn lies, then there are statistics. I think that was from Mark Twain. I probably have that one wrong. Somebody's going to send me an email. My nephew will probably send me an email and say, no, it wasn't Mark Twain. Okay, you'll have me. Don't worry about it. It's okay. The quote is what's important, right? Lies, damn lies, and statistics. I took statistics in college, and I remember also a different quote talking about how you can take the numbers, you can torture them to give you any result that you want. Right? Because statistics is about a lot of variables. It's sample size. It's about the sample the source of the sample, where you're taking it from. If you're talking about politics, okay, how big was your sample size? How many of your sample participants were Democrats or Republicans or independents or Green Party? How many were likely voters versus registered voters? All of this stuff plays into it. And so whenever I see the news media, and I don't care whether it's Fox News or CNN or this one or that, all of them seem to do the same thing. Now, they'll trumpet, they tell you about these, this group is absolutely, they're just unimpeachable. They are right down the middle, always baloney. Not true. Okay, I'm sorry. They're all in it to one degree or another to make sure they get the result they want. And so when I start hearing them talk about their statistics, I'm always skeptical. Okay? I'm not saying that you never get a good statistical analysis or that you never have a pseudo-valid poll. That's not what I'm saying. I am immediately skeptical of statistics because repeatedly, as a conservative, as a person that votes the way that I vote and looks at things the way I look at them, I will see these instances where they tell me through the entire election cycle, okay, X candidate is just getting their butt handed to them. They're never going to win. This is terrible. They're down by 25 points. It's over. They're finished. Election day comes, and it's nowhere near that far apart.
Yeah.
It's actually statistically pretty close. But I always think to myself, how many people got convinced that it was just absolutely not worth going to the polls and voting?
Lots.
Right? And so that's what came to mind when this Brazilian deal was going on. I'm listening to them talking about these statistics and these polls and saying, Bolsonaro's done. He's out of there. And then it ends up being really close. Well, now, thankfully, there's going to be this second phase of the election.
Yep.
I don't know if it's a runoff or whatever they call it down there. But now I wonder how many people will learn their lesson from that and go to the poll. Don't not vote. Go vote. Go vote.
Yeah,
And
they're calling it a runoff. I mean, it's
okay.
And it was they even said surprisingly tight results.
And now, here's the interesting thing. This is why I kind of wanted to get on the soapbox, because this made me think of something else, not just political polling or elections, okay? And it goes hand in hand with what we've been discussing over the past month or so when we've done the few shows we've done so far. And it's this. You, Buzz, myself, you, each and every one of you, whoever you are, doesn't matter. You and only you are responsible for the information that you decide to accept or refute. Period. You are responsible for selecting your candidate, understanding who they are, finding out whether they're lying or not, checking with them, communicating with them. Send them letters, send them emails, check with their people, right? You're responsible for that. And see, we have totally abdicated our responsibility as Americans and voters for decades.
Yep.
For decades. We have gotten to the point, we stand up here and we yell and scream about the media. Oh, Fox News is biased. Oh, CNN is biased. Oh, these guys are biased. Caveat emptor. Caveat emptor. Let the buyer beware. You're a buyer of news.
Yes.
It's your responsibility. It's my responsibility. It is not the media's responsibility. I have been guilty of saying the same thing. Saying that the media is crooked and corrupt and they're not telling us the truth and they're not following up on this stuff. Fine.
But do the digging yourself. A perfect example. When we were all in high school, back when they were still teaching, you and I, they were still teaching history and they were still teaching all economics and all these different things.
Yeah.
When I first turned 18 and was able to become a registered voter,
Yep.
I registered Democrat. I was going based off history and stuff like that. But I took it upon myself, instead of going, well, I've heard it in the books and I've heard this, I started digging. And it only
Because your brother was a pain in the butt.
Well, no, but even back then you weren't as much, and it got to a point where I had basically said, all right, let me dig into this and find out. I started comparing stances on what they did. I started looking into what the beliefs were of each of these political parties, and then when I started finding that the Democratic side doesn't believe in the stuff that I believe, the Republicans do, and this and that. And then and early on, just because I was registered Democrat, I vote Democrat. I voted Democrat. That first time ever around, I voted Democrat because it was Democrat. Too many people do that. But then after you challenged me and said, bro, I'm just going to tell you one thing. Don't, and it tied into what Mom always told us. But do you remember what Mom always told us? Don't believe what you see. And only,
don't believe anything you hear.
Don't believe anything you hear. And only half of what you see.
Yep.
You challenged me. You said, bro, I love you, but use your own mind.
Yeah.
Investigate your beliefs and make sure that you are firmly rooted in your beliefs so that you understand where you're going. And I did from that point on. And boy, it's amazing how when you start digging and not going, by the way, you were right. It was Mark Twain that did that.
Thank you.
Did that quote.
I was right.
And he believed it was a phrase describing a persuasive power of statistics to bolster weak arguments. So, but I took the challenge. And what I did was I dug in and I started finding out for myself. I could stand convicted on my own beliefs now, because when something doesn't sound right, or even when it does sound right, I still dig.
Yeah.
And I still go check into it. That's why I said I don't believe whatever party you're with. I don't believe any of it, because too many times you fake it, and you do. You pad it with statistics and garbage and stuff. And so sorry to interrupt you. I had to jump in and chime in on that.
We want that. I want that interaction. I want to hear that,
because I did start as a Democrat, and I'm nowhere near that anymore.
But this is the important thing. I told both of my kids, right? And now I think sometimes maybe I shouldn't have told them that, but I told both of my kids, don't even just take what I tell you at face value.
Yeah.
Just because I say it doesn't mean it's gospel, right? You need to investigate and understand the truth. Because have you ever encountered that person who says to you, when you make a proclamation about something, or when you speak what you believe, and that person looks at you like you're crazy, and they go, nobody's that certain about things. You can't possibly, talk to people with that kind of certainty. That's just not right. You've got to have an open mind. You've got to have an open. These people, number one, have misunderstood the entire concept of open-minded. Okay, you can get a little bit too open-minded, your brain will fall out. Okay, there is a limit to open-mindedness. Open-mindedness is about understanding, first and foremost, you don't know everything. That's the first rule. All right. Someone who claims to be truly smart, who tries to convince you that they know everything, is ignorant. They're a fool. Mm-hmm. Because until you reach the point in life where you can freely admit and understand and be comfortable with the idea that you are not perfect and you do not know everything, then you don't understand how the world works. You don't understand God's creation. You're not looking at things the right way. That does not mean that after investigation and research and understanding and life experience and that you can't become certain of something. Okay? I've used this example before with people on a personal level. I'm not sure I ever brought it up on the show, even in the old days, but it's that whole idea that when you sit down in a chair, you trust the chair. You absolutely believe that chair will support you and give you a place to sit. If you didn't believe that, you wouldn't sit back down in it, right?
Yeah.
So there's a level of certainty. There's a level of confidence in things. We firmly believe in things like gravity and other scientific truths that have come along.
That's like I've always said, like atheists going, I don't believe. You do. You have faith every day. You have faith that when you get in your car and you get on the roads, you have faith that that person driving next to you is going to stay on the other side of that painted white line.
Yes. So, that's all over the place. But the assertion by someone, I have always believed that it's nothing more than an arguing tactic to try to put you off of your starting point, to try and keep you from defending yourself against the accusations and the things they're going to throw at you. So there is nothing wrong with being certain about things that you know to be true, as long as you understand, right? Leave room for God to give you answers that maybe you didn't see.
Oh, absolutely.
Leave room for truths that you didn't pay attention to things that you overlooked or ignored, right? But as time goes on and you see more and more and more and you experience more and more, that window gets smaller and smaller sometimes. Not on everything, Because there's lots of the world that I haven't experienced, lots of things I don't know anything about, lots of places I haven't seen. Okay? But when someone, for example, here's a good example. Now, I have not traveled anywhere near as widely as some people that I know, but I have traveled rather widely. I've been around. I've been to several countries. And I've been in places where you go look and you see how people live in what we like to blithely sometimes call the third world. All right? We like to make big statements about how, we're going to help the third world, and it's what's so terrible, it's this and that. And we don't see it. We never see it. We live our entire lives, near Durham, North Carolina. We never go anywhere far beyond that. And then we want to make proclamations about the world because you've never seen the world. So until you've gone and seen it, now I'm going to get myself in trouble because I'm not one of those people who says, well, you never served in the military, so you don't have a right to make a comment about it. That's not true. I can have opinions about anything I want to have an opinion about.
Bingo.
But it's important if I'm going to start running my mouth and telling you how it is and what's true and what's not true, I should probably know what I'm talking about. I should probably have an idea what I'm discussing. And some of you are thinking right now, where on God's earth is he going with this? I thought we were talking about fascism. Well, we are. We are talking about fascism. And we're taking a bit of a circuitous route here to have a discussion about some of the things that are going on. So don't be afraid to hold to your principles, to hold to your ideals, to believe what you believe. Okay? Don't be afraid of that. At the same time, right? And this was another thing that I gave to my kids that I quoted from Thomas Jefferson. I doubt that either of them remembers it. I probably should have waited and given it to him later. And for those of us as Christians, sometimes we hear something like this and we think, oh, what is that? But here's a quote from Thomas Jefferson. Now, he wrote this, I believe this was to his nephew. And he was asked by the young man's father to send something to him to encourage him. And one of the things, the letter is actually fantastic if you read the whole letter. And maybe I quoted this before. Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. Question with boldness even the existence of a God. Because if there be one, he must more approve of the homage of reason than that of blindfolded fear. Now, some of the people that are in my family, some of the people that I know who are Christians, as am I, just went, what is he saying?
Mom will be the first one going,
what were you talking about, honey?
What'd you do with
That's
that?
terrible.
Oh, my gosh.
You told people to question God.
Buzz, why did you allow your brother to say that? Smack him.
But I want you to think about that. Now, this goes to that whole concept of, folks, be responsible for what you believe. I told both of my children, be careful what you let in through your ears and your eyes, to your heart and to your soul. Be careful what you take in and make a part of you. Because all of these things that you begin to take in sincerely, things that you see as acceptable and reasonable and okay, good, whatever, these become the person you are. These become what you believe and what you espouse to the people around you. These become the things that you share with your friends and the people you connect with, because they're the things that you feel make you who you are. And what Jefferson was saying, I believe, I could be wrong. I'm sure there's probably some Jefferson expert out there that goes, that's not what he meant at all. You're a complete idiot. Okay, whatever. But here, this is how I see it, right? Because I remember in some discussions I had with some folks when I was in my 20s, we were doing Bible study class, and we talked about the idea that I don't believe, now we know there's a difference with denying the Holy Spirit. That's a different deal.
Well, yes.
I don't believe for 1 second, not for 1 second, and I cite Thomas as my example. I don't believe for 1 second that God has a problem with us going, are you there, God? Are you listening? Am I in the right place here? Is this what I think it is? And this is, I don't think God worries for us. I think God gave us a mind for a reason. I think it's perfectly okay to go, okay, I'm at that stage of my life. I'm questioning, I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm understanding. Right. Is there a God? Is there a God? A lot of great men in the course of history have gone through the philosophical and the scientific exercise and things where they went to a point and said, is there a God? And their answer was yes.
Yes.
When they came down to it, the answer was, yeah. What? I should have gone and looked up the quote. I remember it, and I don't know, it was a scientist or philosopher who said, start with the concept that there is no God and see where that gets you.
But the whole thing is in that whole thing that extract from Thomas Jefferson.
Yes,
it's followed up, and he follows up with basically pushing aside. He's challenging.
Yes.
Within that extract, and it was to Peter Carr.
Yes.
Within that extract, to lay aside all prejudices. And basically, on both sides, neither believe nor reject anything because of someone else's view, because of a person.
There you go.
He was challenging him to delve and find out, use his own mind to make his own decision. Therefore, it's the only oracle given to him by heaven. So it's through his decision. And it says, then you are answerable not for the rightness, but uprightness of your own decision.
And there you go. See, thank you. That's perfect, because you know what? The end result there is if you are receiving knowledge from someone else, secondhand, third hand, fourth hand, however you're getting it, right? If your friend is explaining human sexuality to you and they don't know any more about it than you do, well, then you're getting false information. You're not getting correct information. If you are letting your buddy, right, who has no understanding of the world, explain politics and right and wrong to you, you might want to reevaluate that.
Well, you know where this would apply to. It happens every day, millions of times. It's called social media.
Right.
People read something on Facebook or Twitter or something. Oh my gosh, did you see that so-and-so said? No one pushes aside the prejudices of others to do their own research and to delve into it and figure out what's going on.
No. And
so that's what's beautiful about what you're saying right now, Patriot, is and it's ties into what I just said a while ago. You challenged me at a young age.
Yeah.
I'm not telling you what, because you even said, I don't care if you're going to be a Democrat or whatever it is you're going to be. Know things based on the facts that you dug into and found out on your own. Use the mind God gave you.
Thank you.
To find the truth.
Nailed it. And you know what? That's the most important part of it, right? Is don't recycle someone else's opinion.
Yes, because then it just becomes trash.
I don't care whether it's politics, social media, whatever it is. This is something that recent generations have lost, and quite frankly, we allowed them to lose it because we didn't insist. Remember, how many times have you heard an individual, young or old, say, why on God's earth do I have to memorize a bunch of dates and people's names and places? What is that? History. That's what we've started to call history. You know what we don't teach people anymore? Why? Why?
Why?
Why? Why did World War I start? Not what date and tell me who was responsible for assassinating Prince Ferdinand and, by the way, Prince Ferdinand's name and where's he from and why? What were the political motivations behind it? What was at work on the political landscape that caused this great tragedy? Why did we go to war in World War II? Why did the Weimar Republic end up being the problem that it was? What caused it? What was it that allowed Adolf Hitler to come to power? We've got the dates, we got the names, we got the places, we got all this, but we don't teach kids anymore why. And we don't teach kids to think critically. We don't teach them to look at the situation, analyze it, think about what. Little Johnny just told you that the lady down the street is a horrible, evil person who eats children. Now, you're just going to take that at face value, or are you going to actually go find out if it's true? Right? I mean, I know that's...
When I was younger, I was the one that would go find out if it's true.
I know that sounds goofy,
go talk to her.
But it highlights the idea, right? What do you just take anything anybody says and run with it?
Yeah.
And go, oh, well, it must be true. So somebody throws a statistic at you and you're ready to drop your pants and do whatever they want you to do, right?
Well,
Is that how that works?
Johnny Booger Eater said it was okay.
So I guess, and I'm sorry, it feels disjointed a little bit, and I sort of, it's a soapbox, right? It's a little bit of a rant. The idea here is we're going through the Constitution, we're going through history, we're talking about things. We've re-engineered and geared this program in the direction of learning together. Please don't ever take this as some sort of a, condescending talk to people where it's like, oh, let me explain to you how it really is. No, I'm learning as I go too. I've been learning ever since I started paying attention to politics. I've been learning ever since I became an adult and had to take responsibility for myself.
Trust me, folks, I still sat there. His two best friends, the identical twins, the Bramer twins, the three of them get together, and there's sometimes good old Buzz is sitting over in the corner going, oh, dear God, who started them up? Can say, and I try to change the subject. Hey, did anybody see this movie? Blah, blah, blah. And they go, yeah, Buzz. And they're right back into it. I'm like, oh, stop it.
But
I've learned a lot from
But it's a constant exploration, right?
It is.
We have subjects. The Second Amendment, right? Everybody thinks this is a simple, cut and dry argument, right? Between the two sides, sort of, right? Well, number one, there aren't just two sides. I can tell you that right now. Just the years of talking to people, and there aren't just two sides or two sets of views about it, right? It's way more diverse than that. And one of the things that we have had an argument for several years is the idea of the Second Amendment, federalism, the Congress versus the states and the rules in local communities and how this all applies.
Yes.
Because there are some differing opinions about it, right? And we've read the Second Amendment over again. We've read dissertations from various scholars about the Second Amendment and the Constitution and original intent. And, I got books on the shelf on this stuff that we come back and have that discussion. And sometimes views have shifted back and forth where you go, well, that was not a bad argument. Okay, I can see your point. It's a constant, evolving, growing situation where you're trying earnestly to learn and understand all of it. If we had the founders here right now, we could sit down and say, please, will you please explain this to me and tell me exactly what was on your mind?
Right.
And all we have is their writing, right? Their historical example for us, and then figuring that out from there.
Right.
And the truth is, by the way, I'm not meaning to knock anybody. Look, I'm a big fan of people like Mark Levin and certain other scholars on these issues, but not to knock them. But just because a particular scholar says this is so, well, that doesn't mean he's right.
Well, and too many times people, one of the things that because you and I have taken gun safety classes and all kinds of other things, because yes, we believe in the Second Amendment.
Yes.
Read it in its entirety, folks. Read the whole thing, because it's talking about a militia, and it's talking about a well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of a free state. Yeah. It's state level, guys, and then it goes on to state after that the one quoted thing that everybody, the right for the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. The whole thing is, guys, it's for your protection. It's to protect you from
the government.
The government.
And now, remember,
who is trying to take it all away right now?
This is one of those things we had to go back and forth about, because you have to remember when it says a free state.
Yes.
At the founding, at the time the Constitution was ratified, every state was a separate sovereign nation.
You're right.
State.
You're right.
Okay?
Yeah.
The states created the federal government. So it was the Civil War and what transpired there that caused a serious muddying of that whole process.
You're
but
right.
the idea of federalism and all this was different. And when it said well-regulated militia, if you read in the Constitution where it talks about the establishment of the militia and all these kinds of things, the militia was the people.
Yes.
The militia was not it wasn't
the National Guard. Yeah,
right?
exactly.
The militia was the people. When you look at who got called out as the militia during the time of the Revolutionary War and that, we're talking about the people as a whole. Every capable male able to serve they were responsible for having a gun. Many of them also had cannon and all kinds of other things. But anyway, I don't want to go down that dark hole right now tonight.
Because if you're looking at it, it's all able-bodied civilians eligible by law for service.
Exactly.
Boom.
Exactly. So,
Boom.
But again, this underscores it's a constant growing and evolving. You never get the opportunity to stop learning. Not if you're going to be a responsible citizen, not if you're going to be a responsible participant in the electoral process, not if you're going to go out there and select people to lead us, to represent us, whether it's at the state level, the local level, the federal level. You just don't get that option. If you reach that point where all you're doing is sitting around benefiting from the work of others, you're not contributing. You're not part of society. You're not a citizen. At that point, you're just a freeloader.
It ties into what we originally said at the beginning is, and we've said it in other shows, get back to being an American, man.
You got to be an American. This is a responsibility for all of us, pure and simple, guys. And we didn't even get as far as I wanted to get tonight with all this. There's more to talk about. We will come back to this, but I want you to watch these elections taking place. There is a sea change in Europe. There is a change around the globe. People starting to understand and realize.
And we got ours coming up.
We don't want to be a number. I'm sick of having someone else try to dictate to me, you'll live this way, you'll like it, you'll get what you get, and that's it.
And guys, with the elections coming up and everything, don't go by what the media is feeding you or anybody else.
Turn the friggin' media off.
Turn
please.
off the news right now for a while, guys. Turn it on once in a while to maybe watch the weather or something. Shut that filth off.
Just turn it off.
And start doing some digging yourself. The election's coming up, folks, the primaries and everything. Do your own studies. Look into these people. Go back and look at them. Don't even listen to, oh my gosh, I'm sure everybody's at the point they're like, oh my gosh, the political advertisements right now. Guys, I've said before, I'd love to see someone run one time instead of worrying about bashing their opponent and going, I endorse this message. Just talk about what they're going to do and what they have done. And come out and be, hey, we've all made mistakes as Americans. We've all got a shady past somewhere, guys. We've all done crap that we definitely shouldn't have done.
Yep.
Don't be afraid to say, yeah, I'm human. I made mistakes. I smoked weed in college. Whatever. Then if you lay it out there, you don't have to worry about your opponent going, I'm so-and-so and I endorse this message because he's just a fool. No, guys, do the research yourself.
Look for the people that are calling us together. And I don't mean falsely. Now, we're not talking about the persons out there going, we just want to love everybody. No, I don't want to hear that. What I want to hear is we're Americans. We can do this together. It's going to be tough. We have disagreements. We have things that we don't agree on. But you know what? We're going to do what's best for the nation.
I'm laughing because we always, when we're talking about like a snowflake or something, we always drop our voice like this. They're probably out there going,
I don't talk that way.
They're like, why are they making fun of me? Oh, you know what that is, don't you?
Time for some shout-outs.
My butthole.
Don't do that.
Sorry. Oh, I crossed.
That's my fault. I started that. I'm sorry. Okay. You know what the funny part is? I never watched that show.
I didn't either.
Ever.
I just know how to shut up, baby.
There's so much of it in the culture, though, it's hard to ignore. Anyway.
All right.
This is really simple, folks. Buzz and I were talking again early before the show. We were discussing this. We just had Ian this week. And here again, right? People from Texas, Pennsylvania, other states coming from all over the place to help out in Lee County, down there in Fort Myers and in the path of Hurricane Ian. And so our shout out this week is to, first and foremost, to the families of those who lost their lives in this terrible tragedy, to the people that are still suffering through the aftermath of this and who will be for some time to come.
Yep.
And for the first responders, for every person. I don't just mean what we technically call first responders either. I mean, folks, the nurses and hospital personnel and the EMTs and the firefighters and the police officers and all the people that have gone down there that are, the power line workers coming from other states to help, and the people just cleaning debris, rescuing people and pets from homes, tons of stuff. God bless all of you. Thank you so much. And folks, this is what we want to strive for.
And you know what, Patriot, I'm going to do something unheard of that's on shows nowadays. And no, we're, where we stand as Christian. Dude, right here on the show, I'm just going to pray for those people real quick, man, because I feel it on my heart and I feel we need to do it. So I'm just going to lift it up. Father God, we come before you here in the garage, all of those first responders, all of those people right now, be with them. Give them the power to aid and assist all of those in need. Help them to be with these people during a time of devastation. And we ask that you just continue to keep people's hearts humble, open, and willing to help, God. That's our prayer here in the garage. We just thank you, mighty God, and we pray in the powerful name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
That's it.
And I'm sorry, man.
Don't be sorry. That's awesome, dude.
No, I'm not sorry. I never apologize for my faith.
Nope.
With that, guys, hey, we got a website. Oh, there it is over there. www.garagepolitics.com.
Yeah.
Go check us out. You can see there all of our little social links, the ones that we get banned on sometimes. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Rumble. Guys, our first goal is if you haven't gone to Rumble, go to Rumble.
Yep.
100 subscribers on Rumble, and we go live.
Yep.
We hit live, then we can continue to keep going to where we get 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, and we go live there too.
Go live there.
And who knows? Maybe someone hears us out there, picks us up, brings us up on a network or something like we did before. Who knows? Maybe one of these days this could be our job. That'd be great. I'd love to every day just kind
Can
of.
you imagine anybody hiring my dumbass to do the show?
Yeah, it's okay. There'd be two dumbasses.
Not going to happen.
Not going to happen. But check us out there at garagepolitics.com. There's plenty of links. You can listen to some of the old shows. You can listen to the old parody songs, everything like that. Whatever you want to do, check it out there, folks.
Enjoy it.
Enjoy it. But, man, great show this week, Patriot.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Lots of great information. Folks, we really appreciate you all very much. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, send us a comment or something on YouTube or Facebook or any of them. Please check us out. We're the Garage Politics, no spaces on YouTube.
Yep.
The Garage Kings, no spaces on Twitter.
Yep.
And then just look us up on Facebook. But with that said, y'all done?
I'm done, man. That's
You're
it.
done.
That's all I got
You
for
said a
tonight. There will
soapbox?
be more coming.
There'll be more coming, guys. And like we said, now, next week, more than likely, may not be a show. Patriot's out of town.
Yep.
And tomorrow I'm off on a golf outing. So
Keep your eyes open. Pay attention. Do not let them distract you. Those three things. Focus on it.
Don't
Keep
let it
going.
happen. Don't let it happen, folks. All right. Till next week. See you here in the garage.